Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kurosho here, and now, before I do begin this mini shot, I do want to say something. Now, this is another zombie storyline. However, this one is different from my other one I have created. Instead of Deku being at the start of an apocalypse, he's born into a world already descended into one. And some of the things I had ideas for, I won't lie, were based a little bit on the Last of Us franchise, which I do actually want to do a story on, but that's a different thing. Now, with that being said, the Pathagon is a storyline I had inspired by that idea. And it also just gave me another reason to create more fucked up zombie types. Now then, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the storyline. Now, Deku, he lives a very, very simple life. Around 20 years ago, the world ended. His mother and father, the two of them, they were both, a little older than he was when that happened? He's currently at the age of 17. His mother died during childbirth. That's what his father told him. She just bled too much. Didn't have a proper doctor, and at some point they found themselves in this town. It was able to last, stand, and it still is here. Deku, he's always wondered about what goes on in the rest of the world. He's heard mention from people that Japan might be the only place where this outbreak may have happened, but he's not so sure of that. There are people who believe otherwise, and there are even the old-timers who were around before it truly broke out. They've given out stories, and some they even did save the newspapers about what happened in the early days, where this stuff was said to have been happening in other countries. Now, that is of little comfort, but right now Deku, he does go to somewhat sit there around in a group of people. As a man does to somewhat talk about it. Right now him going to secure a bag in front of him, talking about how all of them do need to be aware. They've got their bandages and they've got their pistols. Now, they do have 2 magazines for their weapons, and they should stick to the basic areas for scavenging they do have. Some settlements out there they might be able to trade with. However, there are people out there who are not friendly. Now, while he is on the subject of being out there, he does want to put some of the concerns to rest. Starting with one primary concern, he knows some of the new scavengers do have. Him looking around and going to express when no one does interrupt him. Whenever you do go out there, be aware. Many of those creatures exist. Some of them may seem easy to take down. However, they're not. Those things have the ability to heal very, very quickly. And in fact, he's heard a story from another settlement that he cannot confirm. But he's seen something similar, damn near close. An ironclad was not only able to take multiple rounds from a shotgun at close range, but it was smashed by a truck. And the thing, it was able to get its arm bent back into place. It was able to get the truck away from it, but its lower half wasn't exactly intact. The creature was dragging itself along for several hundred feet before its body began to regenerate the damage. The creature might have walked with a strange stride, but they put it down that day. These creatures are double the size of a normal human. And while they may not look it, there is something underneath its strange like armor. Along with that, they also do have to deal with the remnants. Him looking around, as someone does raise their hand and ask if those are the rotters. The rotters isn't a good term, but it's another one. The creatures out there, they're healing. The body's natural processes are thrown into overdrive. But they've been pushed to the absolute limit. They're more like cancerous cell growth with bones, skin, and flesh. Though with that damage, it also is trying to heal that. It's an unregulated healing factor. And I think everyone can understand what that does mean. It's been hunted down before and has been able to survive with the lesser zombies. And that's what makes these things more dangerous. If they get stuck in bad situations, they usually try to fight their way out. They're more aggressive. And they do travel in smaller packs. They travel in packs? Yes. That brings me to the other concern. The dogs, as many people will call them. Or, well, the crawlers. These creatures are more feral. And that's what makes them dangerous. They are semi-bulletproof, but a good place round to the brain will take it down. But you have to be careful about that. If your aim is off, then you might not be able to kill the infected. Other than that, there's some standards and some other types we have yet to encounter. Any other questions? What do we do if we get bit? Someone raising their hand up high, talking about it. She's heard that her uncle, he had to take off an arm. And, well, he managed to survive. He thought he was going to turn when he felt the nausea, the nosebleeds, and he thought he was also hallucinating. Well, I can't confirm the hallucinations, but that might have been his blood loss and or the stress of the situation. But that brings me to another point, actually. Most of you will find, as second generations, as we'll so aptly call you, you will have a resistance to being bitten. Now, before the world truly went to hell, we had theories about that. But tolerance is dependent on case. It's not solid. Some people can turn if they're bitten too much, and their exposure is different. Blood in an open wound is one cause of concern, of turning. Though there have been stories before about cannibals taking on the infected. They've had a high rate before of consumption, but that is more concerning. They do eventually become something. And as far as I'm aware, they're just as dangerous as the creatures out there. They're smart. They're human. But you are not immune. Keep that in mind, everybody. On a case-by-case study, everyone who's had high levels of exposure have turned. Now, that being said, I believe that should be all. Report to your designated teams and talk to your designated commanders. They can give out more orders and talk with you. If any of you have any questions, ask them. They've been doing this for a lot longer than you have. Don't feel afraid to feel stupid. Stupidity will get you killed out there. And don't take risk unless you believe they will work, or unless they give you authorization. Him going to turn and go to walk away. And Izuku, he does go to walk over to a group and go to express, throwing his bag over his shoulder and going to zip up his leather jacket. Talking about it. He can't believe that they're finally going to go out there. Do you guys think that we'll be able to see the ocean? I don't know. I've never seen it before. I don't think we're going out that far. We're not, well, we're going to be close to a city like that. We're going to go into the next town over. Once that happens, we'll be about 10 miles from the coastline. Really? But it's there, right? The ocean? Far as I remember. Have you seen it before? What's it look like? Is it really that big? I mean, I've heard about the pools before, but are they really that large? I mean, a lot of gallons of water, but I mean, that's hard to imagine. Yes, yes. They can be that large. Pools back in the old world were big. But as for the ocean, that's way bigger. Is it really all blue? Yeah, I've heard that it can be gray. No, it is not gray, it's blue. I haven't seen it in a while, but I've seen it before. The man going to somewhat laugh out before he does because see Deku fall quiet a bit and begin to write something down in his notebook, asking the kid about what's going on in that head of his. I'm fine. But Daniel, do you really think that this is going to work? I'm not sure what we can find. Find anything useful. We already do have what we're looking for. The list. Find anything on it that could be good. Though if we can also confirm contact with other settlements, that would be better. Listen, it's not going to be easy, but you all signed up for this. After we get this said and done, you guys can get your meal tickets, and that will be that. Right. But what if we get bit, exposed to the infected? You'll be fine. I've seen enough guys try to hide bites, and I know what to expect, what to look for. If any of you start showing symptoms, then I'll be able to tell. Trust me on that. Right. But how did this all start? We can talk about that in the truck. Him making his way over as Deku, he does go to watch someone walk past him. Him turning back and giving Deku a bit of a grin. Him wearing a red shirt and going to wear a black jacket with a hoodie underneath. Right now him with his dark hair and grin. And he does go to walk up and ask Clark exactly if he's ready for this. Hell yeah. Dude, I've wanted to go out there for a while. We're going beyond the walls. Yeah, that's true. Them climbing into a truck, and Deku does get to sit in the back. Him turning to a few people who do go to grin out at him. And John currently is, or not John, Daniel does currently go to someone sit up in the passenger seat in the front of the car. Right now the driver continuing along with a few other vehicles. And when they do to leave outside the large gate and they do to watch it close driving down the road, Deku, he does somewhat shrink down, still holding on in the bed of the truck as a few people, they do go to look at each other, trying to talk over the wind as Chloe and Jessica do accompany them. Deku and Clark trying to go over ideas for how exactly it all could have started. And right now, an hour just to pass by. They do drive somewhat slowly on some of the back roads leading to the next town, and they do try to be careful. The path is clear, and their small little caravan does not attract much attention. Though Izuku, he does get a turn and see that Chloe is still messing around with the bow and arrow she was given. Her still a little intrigued about the weapon, and Deku himself does kind of wish he got one. He doesn't know much about archery, but it's still a cool thing. I mean, it would be much more effective than a gun, but guns might need to be used. I mean, he's trained with the smaller rounds they've used before. The pellet guns, but those are way different. They don't weigh the same, they're lighter, and, well, they don't kick as hard. He's only tested a few rounds before, but even then, he's just trying to make sure his home has food, has what they might need. And volunteer work isn't exactly something a lot of people do sign up for. They've got soldiers guarding the town and people to feed. But it does make him question it about what exactly they can find out here. And they do to watch the city come to appear in their line of sight. Right now, them staring at it as you to see overgrown buildings and hollowed out structures. Right now, them pulling up to it as the vehicle does pull in an alleyway, and they do go to have someone jump out and pull open a garage. The truck being pulled in before the group they do go to get out. And there is where Daniel does get to tell them. Right now, they're breaking off into two different groups. He's going to go with them, and the others are going to be going with the driver. Him looking at the man, throwing a thumb to him as the man does talk about it. Right now, it should be good. This building here is secure. If they do need to, come back here if anything happens. If their groups get separated, make sure to remember this location. And right now, Deku does get to read the sign of an old auto shop. Him nodding his head and going to turn, seeing one of those rusty old street lamps. Him turning and seeing something hanging from the post over there. It's got these strange colors. And Deku does get to recognize it as a streetlight. One of the things in the old world that used to exist. I mean, there could be some good wires in there, but this town doesn't have electricity. I mean, if you can get up there and scavenge it, it could be something useful. Huh. Hanging one of those things in his room, though, could be pretty cool. Hey, I was in the outside world, look what I got. Though, it is curious. Right now, him gonna walk off down the road with his group people. And they do begin to try and investigate a few locations. Them going to head to another auto shop just down the road. And right now, Deku does get to watch on as a pack of the strange creatures does get to move by. Right now, them going to walk by quickly as they to freeze. Deku looking out from the corner and seeing one of them. And they're like actual animals. They're weird. I'm just staring at them. And it does this all to try and click out its tongue and let out almost a growling sound. And he does get to listen to that noise. It sounds like a cat meowing, but with a fuck ton of sandpaper in its voice. Just the gruffness of it is so so raspy and deep. And the fangs on that thing's face does not help. Right now, them going to watch it pass whenever one of the creatures goes blaring right by it. It roaring out at something as a sound does emanate down the road. And they do go to step into the shop when they arrive. Now, they do go to try and look at some of the older vehicles. Some of the things that might have been left here to rust might have something useful. These cars don't look as bad. And Izuku, he does have that thought. The windows in one are still intact. The front shield is cracked and has some blood on it, but that's about it. Him walking past the passenger side and going to turn to look in. And whenever he does going to do so, something does get a lunge for him. Him backing away as the creature to smash in the door, and it does go to emit that creaking noise. There's an echo through the entire building. Deku jumping backwards, but not screaming. Him raising his knife and going to stare at the creature, which does a crash at the ground and go to turn, beginning to crawl towards him as he does go to stab down with his knife. Him pulling it free as Chloe does come rushing over, her looking at Deku and turning to see the creature. It going to sit there dead. And right now, there is with everyone, they do to hear another noise. Him turning his head and looking around. And right now, everyone, they do gotta wait for the next sound. This place was quiet. And whatever activity they might have just alerted, whatever thing might be here, they've got to be careful. If it is an ironclad, they're fucked. If it's something normal, they can deal with it. They've got guns. If it's a rotter, God help them all. Those things are not easy to take down. Fire. He's pretty sure fire is the best way to kill those things. But they might just keep coming. For the love of God, if there's more than one of them, they're going to die. And this thought does rush through his brain. Nothing but fear following it. How many rounds could he try and put into one before it just keeps crawling at him? Before it just keeps coming at him. And that thought, it is accompanied by the sound of a creature going to fall off of a catwalk above them. Right now, them going to look up as the creature does a crash down to the ground and begin to start moving. Right now, Daniel shouting for all of them to shoot. And right now, he does go to bring up his weapon that is a rifle. And Izuku does go to throw his knife back down in the holster fast. Him going to grab his gun. As he does to do so, he has a tug on it. Right now, him not having it be released as he does go to push something forwards and pull the gun free. Right now, him staring at the creature as it does begin to emit those cracking noises. And whenever gunfire does a rush through the area, he does hear it somewhat make out a growling noise, mewling. And it does begin to turn facing the nearest person. Deku, watching his clerk, he does continue to fire at this creature. Trying to aim for the head, but two bullets do go flying past into the metal area nearby, sparking. And Deku does raise his weapon. Just firing as well as the creature, it does start to move forwards. Lumbering in his Deku does go to get that smell. Sickly, sweet, and sour. As right now, he can see through parts of its body, where holes are. It's several feet tall. No, 8 feet. The closer it gets, the bigger it does it seem. And right now he does a turn, before he does go to smash Clay to the ground with a leap. The creature crashing its massive arm directly through the top of the car. And when the two do get a turn, the creature does go to start moving towards them. Right now, it going to step towards them as more sounds can be heard. Right now, glass shattering as creatures do to jump through the windows. And Daniel does scream for them to run. Right now, Deku going to try and climb to his feet as the creature. It does go to hold on to his leg. Deku turning and seeing the vine-like muscles in it begin to wrap around the things that are acting as its fingers. And it does try to pull Deku towards him. Him turning and screaming out as the creature, it is scratching into his leg, cutting deeply as Deku feels a claw. And now he's to spin his weapon and fire at the thing's head. It going to let out a sound again, though this time it is to fall into the car door and crash backwards. Deku climbing to his feet with his hurt ankle and going to run. And everyone, they do go to burst down the road after they make their way into an alleyway. Him trying to get away, just running. Chloe, she is in front of him, and she does a turn, spinning and firing her weapon, screaming for them to go. And Izuku, he does a spin himself, firing at one of the creatures that are coming towards them. And whenever it did go to leap onto the top of the car and try and leap at him, he did go to turn. Him crashing to the ground a few feet away and spinning, before being able to aim the thing directly into the creature's throat. Him blasting his gun as it does a click empty. And Izuku, he does go to watch the creature go to begin to flail. Right now, it sinking teeth down into his shoulder. And when that doesn't happen, the creature's head is blasted away. Right now, him turning and seeing Daniel, who does go to reach down and shove this thing off of him. Turning his clerk, he does go to help grab Deku. Jessica and Chloe firing off their pistols at the creatures coming towards them. And Izuku, he does go to start running on his feet. Right now, them continuing to move. Before, there is to hear the telltale roar of a massive creature. And right now, the entire road does fall silent. Before, they do go to look up. And in the third story of a building, they do to see a massive tree limb-like arm. Though it's covered red, almost pink. And in parts of it, there are black parts. And it does take Deku a second to realize that's dried blood. That's fresh blood. The creature must have fed in that building and shit, they woke it up. They woke it up. And none of the other creatures do begin to back away, as the creature does a crash on top of a car and crush the upper half of it, before scurrying forwards on all fours and rushing towards them. And they do begin to run. Right now, Daniel screaming for the others to run as he raises his weapon. Him setting off a burst of rounds at the ironclad, trying to draw its attention as it does go to ignore the damage, continuing to rush at them, turning and rushing down the alleyway and trying to stay behind, screaming at the kids to run like hell. That thing is not going to give up. He'll draw its attention. Them hearing a sound, before a body is sent crashing past Deku and smashing into the side of a car. It flying over the front and going to crash to the ground. As Deku, he does a turn for a second and stare at that. Quite horrified as the creature, it does go to rush forwards. Deku bending down and grabbing its gun as he's at a turn, raising his weapon as a gunshot does go off. And this time, a bullet is sent flying through his back. Him, alarmed as the creature, does a rush into him. It barreling over him, and he does a sent crashing to the ground. It rushing towards the group of live prey. And this, it means something. Right now, Deku laying there with a wound in his side. And he can feel pain. He feels a lot of pain. He can't feel his ankle anymore. And his shoulder still hurts. Though right now, he does go to lay there for a second. He feels thirsty. Very thirsty. And that's not good. Right now, some of the normal zombies beginning to make their way into the alleyway. More into the public road. And Deku, he does get a turn looking at those creatures. Right now, him going to begin to try and move. And when he does it to do so, he does a clutch at his side. Before the bullet, it does go to press its way out of his torso. And he does to watch it crash to the ground whenever he does get to see it. And this time he doesn't look at his side again. The wound is pulsating. That doesn't make sense. Blood pouring down his nose. And Izuku, he's concussed. Though he doesn't turn looking at the zombies. And it does go to run through his mind. Is his tolerance low? Oh God, he's going to turn. Him turning and looking around for a weapon. He doesn't want to turn. He's heard stories about what the hell they've seen, what people have done, the type of crazy shit that happens to them. Come on, where the fuck is a gun? He just needs a bullet. He just needs a bullet. That on his mind. And terror is going to run through him. As right now his vision does get a blur. And the shadows, they do begin to laugh. This scaring him. Him going to stagger backwards into a fence as he's to look down towards Daniel. And Daniel, he does get a smile at him, laughing a bit before his face does get a bloom. Right now, flowers pouring from his eyes as he does get to see them. Right now, him going to spin where something does to grab his arm. And Deku, he does go to turn and smash a fist out towards the creature as it does begin to pull on him. Right now, some of the zombies trying to reach for Deku, reach out towards him. And this time Izuku does to pull his knife, swinging wildly at the creatures as he doesn't let them get in close. He turns and runs. But with the way the world is disorienting around him, the way his mind's trying to cope with this, he can't. He just needs to find somewhere quiet. Somewhere where he can't hear the laughter. Somewhere he can't hear people talking. And this, it runs through his mind. Right now he needs to find a place to hide. He needs to find a place where they can't find him. That's right. He can't let them find him. He can't let them find him. He needs a hiding place, a safe place, a very safe place, a place where he can be safe. No, a place for them. Right, a place for all of them. No, that won't work. That won't work. They'll find him. They'll smell him. He needs to ditch his clothes. They carry blood. They carry a scent. No, he can't do that. This jacket's important. It might have blood on it and the shoulder's damaged, but he can fix that later. Him making his way down the road and still feeling this disorientation rush through him. And right now, Deku, he does get to disappear. The group managed to get away. Though someone, they were reprimanded for what happened. Chloe confessed about who fired that damn shot. They took a risk when Daniel was taken down, and it got somebody else killed. Clark, he was arrested, and right now, they are trying to figure out exactly what happened in that building. 2 people are dead, and it wasn't good. Though there was where they went back to that building about a week later, trying to investigate about where to go to next. And whenever the group does go to pull the truck in, there is where someone does get someone sit there. Right now, him with his legs folded to his chest and going to rock back and forth, just thinking about a few things. And it does go to scare some people when they saw Deku and they saw those glowing eyes. They thought he might have been some sort of new type. They've heard some stories about glowing eyes. But whenever they were able to get in close and he didn't react, someone finally managed to make physical contact. And whenever Deku jumped out and tried to scream, they were able to calm him down. The kid seemed comatose, traumatized and docile. All he had was a knife, some dirty clothes covered in blood, and he smelled terrible. They don't know what the hell happened to him while he was out there for a week, but the sheer fact he was alive, it meant something. And Izuku, he was taken back in. When the doctors talked to him later, they made a horrifying discovery. He's covered in bites. His shoulder had a massive chunk taken out of it from what they heard before. But that part has shown about 2 months of recovery. His arm was hurt and he had a bullet wound in his side. From what they understand, that has healed. What they're seeing here is unprecedented. And whenever they tried to run a blood test on Deku, they saw high levels of infection in his blood. But the one thing they didn't see was his cells start the process of changing. He's immune. And when they found out that information, some people were worried. There's only a select few who know exactly how much Deku was bit. They've got to figure this all out. Hisashi, he burst into tears when he found out his son was alive. But whenever he came home and just acted different, he was worried. A week out there in the wild might have changed him. He started acting odd. His behavior changed. Sure, he was already reserved and a little introverted before. But he just stopped talking for a minute. He seemed to want to be left alone. That was understandable. He went through something bad. But he just wasn't sure. And Reno Deku, he does just want to sit there. He's alive. He doesn't know much about the last couple days. After the strange, powerful headache in his brain went away, he felt fine. But everything else is covered in this weird layer of fog. He feels constantly parched in his throat. And right now, he's not sure if he wants to go outside. Something about the light is hurting his eyes. He can hear everything. And he's just worried. Right now, him turning his head as someone they do go to knock on his window lightly. Him making his way over and going to pull it open. Before Chloe does get someone sit there and ask Deku if he's alright. Someone going to step in as John does it ask him. They heard about what happened. Is he alright? I'm fine. I'm okay. I don't want to talk about it. Yo. It's okay. Listen, my mom said I should give this to you. Her pulling out her bag, a container. And Izuku does this one stare at her as she does it hand it off to him. Him staring at the vein bulging out from under her sleeve. And he does it to reach out, taking it and going to understand. Right now, him nodding his head as he does get to thank her. And she does get to tell him, it's no worries. Though if he does want to hang out, just let them know. He went through some shit, and she's pretty sure that she can sneak a bottle of her dad's whiskey. It won't be that big of a problem. I don't think whiskey's that good. Sure, I can do that. But, I just want to be left alone right now. If that's alright, I'm just very hungry. Okay, that's alright. Deku going to pull the window close rather quickly. And he does go to rip open the container as the two do to leave. Him stuffing handfuls of the food in his mouth. And it does help satiate that hunger he's feeling. But he's not sure. He just ran for the last couple days. He was starving. He didn't know if there was anything safe left to eat. He managed to catch something with his knife. But even then, he's not sure if he ever wants to leave these walls again. But what the doctors told him, he's fairly certain that might be the best thing to do. His home might not be safe anymore. He might put them in danger or endanger all of them. He's gonna have to leave. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.